What's up, you fish freaks? Welcome to episode number 112 of the Kayak Fishing Obsessed Podcast, your ultimate source for all things kayak fishing. And a special shout out to the show sponsor, uncovering really the underground of fishing baits, right? You got the premium under the radar baits from small batch creators. You can check all this out at Dark Horse Tackle. Seth, this is what I got in the box this past month. You ever heard of the scamper? You ever heard of the scamper rig?
Is it a wacky rig or a Nico? No, I'm just kidding. No, I haven't heard it. Let's hear it.
This guy right here, this hook came in. So the scamper rig is a weighted straight shank hook designed to impart like a unique kind of darting action on soft plastic jerk baits and like flukes. It was developed by MLF angler Matt Becker, and essentially you put that weighted hook shank, really just eliminating the distraction of a jig head, allowing a bait to kind of scamper or kind of dart erratically during retrieves. Hence,
that is probably the only way I would fish those flukes, man. They drive me crazy when they're weightless, and I like that a lot.
The scamper rig. I don't know if I was Matt Becker and I like created something that's relatively new, I wouldn't name it after what it does. I name it after myself. It'd be the Wendell rig. I don't know about you. I don't know.
Becker rig.
The Becker rig.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. How was your week, brother?
It's good, man. Just got back from Okeechobee. I was on Okeechobee for a few days. And, man, the storms drove me crazy all week. Those were tough. Being out there on a kayak in that lake, man, it was rough. But was able to take third in our state championship, so that was cool.
I know you're disappointed in that. Everyone else is like, bro, I'd love to get there.
Yeah.
So break it down really fast. How many were in it? All that stuff.
Yeah, so we had 50 in it. And it was our state championship, top 10%. So top 5 go to the national championship or the Bassmaster Classic for kayaks, which will be in Tennessee. I already had qualified. So my spot actually dropped down to the 6th person, which was cool. But I had a really good practice. I had a lot of good fish, but they were offshore. And when the storms rolled through, it really made it difficult for me. So pulling out a third, I'm very grateful for. I actually got really lucky on that. So happy to just
bro, you did not get lucky. Don't give me this lucky crap. You've been pulling first, second, third, second, third all season long. Well done. Where's the hardware? Where's the little plaque? Behind your other plaque, behind your other plaque, behind your check, behind your other plaque. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, come on, Seth.
Yeah,
we're rooting for you, brother. We are rooting for you. Well, tonight, folks, we have Brandon Hua going to be joining us in the green room right now, but he's over 12 years of experience tournament fishing. And so if you want to kind of elevate your game when it comes to tournament fishing, well, we got the man for you. Brandon, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, guys. How are you doing?
That's good. Where are you located at?
Out of Oregon in the Pacific Northwest.
Oregon.
Right,
right.
Top left corner.
We got just about every corner covered now. We're missing one person in like Arizona, and then we'd have it all.
Yeah. Well, Brandon and I actually met down at the ICAST, and so we had a good old time down there. There's like this party that's put on by like line cutters, and we got into a game of like beer pong, and it went on. How many times did we win in a row? Let's just say we're the undefeated champions of the world. I'm pretty sure.
6 in a row.
Yeah, it was like 6 or 7 in a row. It was we were just boom. Popping it. Well, Brandon, for those of us who might not know a little bit of your story, how did you get into kayak fishing? How did you get into tournament fishing and kind of content creation? I always love just before we hop into tactical, really getting to know. That's kind of the theme of the show. If you guys haven't figured it out yet, if you listen in, don't want to just give me the facts on how to figure out tournament fishing, but I love to learn people's stories. I think that's just as fun. So walk us through a little bit of the journey.
Yeah. So honestly, kayak fishing has only been like 4 years, dude. Like I jumped into it just all in, but tournament fishing, 12 years ago. I don't know. I was at Oregon State University for a little bit, joined their bass fishing team. So this is before like college fishing is what it is today. It's crazy how much it's grown, but fished my first tournament out at Clear Lake, which is a crazy place to have your first tournament. It's honestly at the time, all I needed to throw was like a Senko at the time. And that was it. And I lost like a 5-pounder on a Senko that tournament, but learned how to fish a jig and some other things. And dude, it sent me down a rabbit hole. I qualified with my partner Eric Strickler for nationals, so we went to Lake Chateau. And it was kind of like a crazy deal how that all happened. But 10th place, I was locked in. Went to fish that place. Didn't even know what the heck a spotted bass was when I went there. So there's so much just jumping in, and it was honestly an awesome experience. But did co-angling for 6-7 years, something like that.
Okay.
Learned a lot along the way. I always recommend everybody. They're like, how am I going to get into tournament fishing? I was telling like, dude, co-angler is the best. Like, you get to see a lot of a body of water really quick. You get to learn strength techniques from a lot of people. Like, I always say I'm a culmination of everybody I've ever fished with, because everybody's always good at something. And I'm a visual learner. I like to watch people like work a bait or whatever it is. And that's honestly helped me a whole bunch along the way. But kayak fishing, honestly, it just popped out of nowhere. Back in 2022, I actually my truck got totaled, and I had a bass boat at that time. So I had a bass boat for 2 years. It's an older 21-foot nitro. And honestly, I thought I was going to get into like the bass boat thing for so long, but dang, that thing was so expensive, maintenance, gas, and everything. So when my truck got totaled, I needed to sell my boat to get a reliable truck. So that, and I was actually going to demo kayaks through a local retailer out here that's actually closing soon.
Which one?
Next Adventure.
Okay. Is that one of the big ones out there? I'm not familiar with what happens out there on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, they gave me an opportunity before I sold my boat to demo some kayaks. So I was already going to do it. And I was like, well, I don't really care. I just want to kayak fish and catch some bass. Like,
yeah,
as long as I'm fishing, I don't care. So I jumped into it, and honestly, it was so fun right away.
All right, so for someone coming over from the bass boat, and Seth, you're the same way, and I had a bass boat for a short period of time. What are some of the significant differences? Obviously, expense, it sounds like. It's so funny. Everyone in my comments are always, you should have bought a boat. But here you are saying so ridiculously expensive. So what are some of the hidden costs or hidden tolls of boat fishing in Oregon?
I mean,
they make you pay to like put your boat in up there?
No.
I live in Ohio. They don't make you do that crap here. But I know when you start getting
most of our launches, we don't really charge like for people to go fish. There's a couple like, your normal state parks and stuff in these small counties. They'll ask for like a $3 or $4 launch fee or something like that. But like nowhere like California is. Every time I go to California, I have to bring so much cash, dude. They're like $10, $15, $20 to go launch. And you're just
really
like, dude, I already got to spend a whole bunch of gas to go down there. But up here, it's not bad, honestly.
Freaking
gas
California
is all right, I guess. But I mean, obviously, if you're like in Texas or something, gas is gonna be much cheaper.
Yeah. So what's your why content creation? I know you kind of do that. How are you like really in it to win it, or it's just kind of one of those things when you get around to it when you're not fishing?
Honestly, it's kind of just started organically. Like I'll just post stuff that I do on the water and stuff. And I learned quickly that in the basketball world, at least up here, but I'm sure probably the rest of the country, like a lot of guys are very hush hush about their stuff, baits they used, the spots and all that stuff. And I was like, dude, that's not growing the sport. So I started, just going to post tips, tricks, and all those type of things. And it's allowed a lot of people locally for me to kind of learn along the way that stuff that other people are just don't want to share. So
yeah,
it's all about getting other people outdoors. And if we're gatekeeping everything, it doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. So when you said you mentioned co-angling earlier. Are you like co-angling for like professionals or amateurs or just with your buddies, like on a boat? Like what did you mean by that? Unpack that a bit.
I did it all. So I mean, like obviously in tournaments, you have your team tournaments and then what they call your pro-am. So team tournaments, obviously the boater, the pro, whatever you want to call it, it's a guy who owns a boat, and then you should have a partner. That's a co-angler. And then you obviously have pro-ams. So you have pro, boater, amateur. Same thing as a co-angler. So I've done it all kind of from local club level. I've done some of the regional stuff with some of the bigger organizations and stuff, traveling up and down the West Coast. So that was kind of where my roots are.
Are these like friends, or are you just getting placed as a co-angler with a
team tournaments? I mean, it could be random in the club level, right? Like sometimes you're allowed to, pick your partner and stuff. Sometimes it's the luck of a draw. When you're at the pro-am level or the regional level, a lot of times it's just random selection. You won't find out till the night before who your partner is. And
Oh,
then
really?
you just meet up at the boat launch in the morning, and you're like, "Hey, I'm blah blah blah. Let's go out and catch some fish."
You pray they're not a live scoper.
Yeah. Well, back when I was doing it, live scope wasn't even really
That's
a
true.
thing
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. Nowadays, if you get paired with a live scoper up front, you might as well just sit down and have a snack.
Yeah, you're along for the ride.
Well, have you seen like some guys are building their own little live scope
Yeah.
bundle and putting it in the back of the boat? I'm like, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's like a mobile live scope unit they bring with a little backpack and a clamp. Yep.
I've seen those videos pop up. Your portable live scope. That makes sense. Seth, did you ever do the co-angler thing?
I did. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Oh, okay. Hit me.
Let me take that back.
Before you answer, I would think it would be something of like, whoa, that would really start elevating your skill set.
Yeah.
Really fast. But give me your take.
Yeah. So 2 things. One, if you're a boater, I feel bad. Like I have a subconscious that I have this person behind me that I'm front ending a lot, meaning like I'm not giving them the juice because I'm focused on winning. Unless you're on a team. If you're on a team, it's fine. But if it's separate and the co-anglers are going against co-anglers and the boaters are going against boaters, I'm the one that spent the big money to get in, right, and the bigger prize. So I'm focused on catching my fish and not whether or not I'm putting them on fish behind me. So I feel bad. So I kind of like want to do both. And then if I'm a co-angler on the back end, the reason I do like it is for exactly the reasons that Brandon says and that you mentioned, because you can learn a ton. Like you can learn a ton from people. And I've been in the FLW series back in the day when we used to travel the country and do oil and gas. I was a co-angler a bunch on those. But what I don't like about it, like if you go in with the proper mindset, the understanding that you're there to learn and you're not there to like qualify or win anything, then you'll be just fine. But if you're going in trying to like win, it's based so much on what your boater does that
it's like the draw too.
Yeah, it's the luck of the draw. You don't know who you're going to be with. So
yeah, it might be like a home lake ringer.
So you might get a good boater. You might get one that hasn't been on them, and you're just not around fish as much. So it's tricky to be like consistently successful as a co-angler or non-boater. But if you go in with the mindset of learning, then it's a completely different experience. Like if you're there to learn, yeah, you can take a lot from it.
So there's like different categories of winnings as a co-angler versus you kind of alluded to it. I've never done this.
Yeah. So the boaters go against it depends on what division. Brandon was talking about. It might be like a little bit of team stuff.
Yeah.
But like if most of the major ones, the boaters are only against the boaters. So for example, the Bassmaster Opens, they don't do them anymore. They went away with them. When the Bassmaster Opens, you have the pro angler that's trying to qualify for the Elite Series. And then you have the co-anglers on the back of the boat that only go against co-anglers. Most times the co's will have like a 3-fish limit. Boaters will have a 5-fish limit. So the co-anglers are only going against co's.
Okay. Fascinating. All right, let's hop. Oh, real quick, before we hop in here, do some giveaways tonight. Got a few little giveaways. These are coming from Brandon, so y'all can thank Brandon. And I love giving away other people's stuff, so this is perfect. So what we're going to do is we'll give them away a little later in the show. However, in order to be a part of it, if you guys have done this, I have a little randomizer. It is here, let me share the screen with you guys. Show you what it looks like. And Brandon, want to show what we're giving away?
Yeah. So we got 3 $10 gift cards to Discount Tackle. So they're an online tackle company, typically has some of the best prices around, ship nationwide. Obviously, you can get free shipping if you spend a certain amount. I think it's like $59. But that's a partner of mine, local to me, but they ship everywhere. So you're a big Z-Man fan like me. They carry a whole bunch. They're one of their big distributors of it. So
I'm a Z-Man fan. I was catching them on the Nico earlier today, making it happen. They're Fatty Z. I think it's a Fatty Z. Or the Fat Z or TRD Fatties on the Nico. All right, so if you guys don't know how this works, I see Seth already put this in. Scarvy's been around here. There you go. So all you guys do is type in Discount Tackle like you see it on the screen. And later in the show, I'll keep mentioning it, and then we'll give 3 of these away toward the end. Now, Valentine Boys Fishing, it's got to be together there. So
one word. Yeah, one word.
One word, just like you see it. And as you can see, we have 7 entries, and this will go up as the night goes on. All right, so let's hop into tactical a little bit. Seth, you got want to kick us off with the question, or you want me to get this party started?
No, go for it. Go for it. I'm gonna have a bunch that pops up. So yeah, knock it out.
I love it.
Start
So
her off.
I think you mentioned that your very first tournament was on Clear Lake, and we just had why can I think of his name?
Blanchard.
Yeah, we had Blanchard on, and he was talking about Clear Lake. I imagine that's a lake in California that everyone kind of goes to for tournaments. It's probably beat up pretty bad or pretty good. Walk us through if that was your first tournament and any lessons that still stick with you today from that first tournament.
Whew.
that
Honestly,
was a long time ago. You're reaching back into the bank.
Yeah,
of
that's
memories
Trying
here.
not to blank. I'm just kidding.
honestly, from that tournament, it's funny. I try to remember like what I did or where we went during that tournament. I honestly can't remember. Like in Oregon, dude, our lakes are not super big at all. Clear Lake, going there, I was like, am I in the ocean? Like, where the heck am I? Like, it's honestly super big compared to like where I'm at. But that was kind of my first experience of offshore fishing. So like we were dragging jigs on this offshore grass at the time. And that kind of I was like, what are we doing? We're just in the middle of nowhere. And I got introduced to side scanning at that time too, because he's like, oh, there's a clump of grass out here. It's like super isolated. Oh, okay. We turn the boat around, drop the trolling motor in, and throwing a PB&J jig. And I still like, even I was at that same tournament as Blanchard, and what I was throwing there was a PB&J jig as well.
Okay.
So I took some of that experience back then and tried to apply it today. But yeah, that was definitely one of the things that I learned pretty quick. But I also learned with my that being my first tournament is that like these guys go hard in these tournaments, like no food, no drinks, fish till your arms falls off. Like, and I was like, okay. I was like, I'm definitely slacking. Like, dude, I had a chair on the back as a go angler. I was like, dude, my legs are tired. Like, it got windy during that tournament. We were just in some rollers too. I was like, what are we doing? But I think it was just a good first insight, honestly, of tournament fishing and what it can be. Obviously, that's still a little bit different at a college level, but I think some of those things definitely apply to now. It's just like experience. One thing I tell people is like, I don't like to, there's some people, and there's nothing wrong with it, and like cherry pick like very similar bodies of water that fits their strength. I like to branch out and try to fish a bunch of different places, because the more you do it, the more that you'll find similarities between some of them, and you pretty much have a little bit of a head start, honestly, when you get there, because you're like, oh, this place sets up like blah blah blah. I wonder if this technique or this approach will work. That's one of the things that I've been able to use over the years. It's just that, like, I had a tournament right after ICAST, dude. I was telling you about it. Literally got off the flight at 9:30, 11:30, hit the road, drove through the night, fished a tournament. Never been to practice. I did some little, research ahead of time, and I don't know how deep you want to dive into that, but we can dive into that.
Oh, we'll definitely do the breakdown here in a minute.
But that, like, never been there, and first time seeing the body of water, and I was able to kind of like look around and utilize my grasp, but also like Google Maps and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this kind of sets up like this other place. Well, no practice. Let's just go see if it works out, and I ended up getting like a fourth place finish there.
Oh wow! See, it's interesting. Seth, I think last week was like, "Hey, I don't even fish a tournament unless I can get a day or two, depending on how long it is." So this is what I want to do. I want you to walk us through the Brandon Hua approach to fishing a tournament, and literally from pre-work mapping, online mapping, what kind of goes through your head, rigging, what do you bring, how do you pre-fish, day of, the variables, audibles that are pulled, why, all this stuff, right? All of it. So I want to take you to the big freaking deep dive. And of course, we will pick that apart with questions. And also, if you're listening in, we got 44 live right now. Awesome. Hit that like button if you haven't done so. We'll get some extra yardage out of this. But we'd love for you to, if you're listening in, to ask a question, and we will star those. And as soon as we have a little break, Brandon will answer those, or Seth will answer those. And I don't do a whole lot of tournament fishing, so I probably won't answer those. But Brandon, walk us through, how do you even pick your tournaments?
Pick the tournaments? I mean, for me, it's
Everything?
Whatever's intriguing. I fish whatever I can, honestly. I fish Kayak Fishing Northwest. It's our tournament organization up here. So it's Oregon, Washington, and Idaho.
Okay.
And then I do travel to California here and there for a couple tournaments whenever I get a chance to. But yeah, I mean, like,
how many do you do a year?
This year, I want to say I did like 10.
Okay.
10 tournaments, something like that. I did like a couple back-to-backs. Like I went to Door Shack for a Kayak Fishing Northwest event, chased some big smallmouth, and literally got done and drove straight to the California Delta to try to qualify for the Bass Nation Kayak Series National Championship.
Okay.
Didn't do well, but you know, that's how it goes.
That's how it goes, unless you're Seth Taylor.
Yeah.
Right, Seth?
Yeah. So when you get to a new body of water you've never fished before, so whether it's a national trail or just in, up there in the Pacific Northwest, how do you break down that body of water if you've never been there? What's your process like to break that down? Because one difference between a kayak and a boat is when you get out of a boat and you go to a kayak, you can't just run all over the place, especially if you only have like a day or two. And Darren's the center of attention now. I see you, Darren.
I'm just checking out all my new things that I'm not used to.
Small little quarter.
Now you're just gone all completely.
Now we're all gone.
Yeah. So
all
how
kinds
do
of
you?
new things here.
What are your steps that you go through, or just like what is your thought process breaking down before you get to that body of water and once you get there? Because if you have like a day or two of practice.
So first off, it's like the pre-practice for me. So I'm doing research ahead of time. On my kayak, I have 2 mapping chips on there. I run Lowrance's, so I got Navionics, but I also have CMAP. So I got 2 different maps that show 2 different things. Like it allows me to kind of look and see, because one mapping software may not show something that the other one has. So I use that as a tool. Google
Let's
Maps.
pause real fast. What's the difference between the two for those of us who don't run Lowrance or like, hey, what's the difference?
CMAP
Navionics
is one
CMAP?
that's pretty much Lowrance's mapping system, kind of like Humminbird has Lake Master. Navionics a little more universal. You can use it with Lowrance, Humminbird, Garmin. So there's a little bit different. I do pay to get them updated. So there's like a subscription you can do, so you can have the latest updates and stuff like that for each body of water. But I use that, obviously to look what's underneath the water. I've always been an offshore angler, like even way before front facing sonar came out. I use it, but I kind of wish it never came out. But yeah, I've always been an offshore angler, so understanding like how to read contours and stuff like that, humps, points, all that, creek channel bends, that's underneath the water. That's always been one of my kind of fishing styles, was doing that. But Google Earth, just seeing what does the body of water look like. So
do you look at any historical data, like results?
So I look at also Google Earth Pro, I think that's what it's called. You can look back on bodies of water like year after year. They have snapshots of each lake, or I guess not even just a lake, anywhere in the country. You can look like, what does a lake look like in August, or a reservoir when the water's drawn down 50 feet versus what it looks like in the spring and stuff.
Right, that's true, yeah.
That's one thing that I utilize a lot. We have a lot of reservoirs up here, but I think it can apply to pretty much anywhere.
What about previous tournament results?
That's another thing I look at. What was it going to take? To potentially do well in the tournament. I look at history, YouTube, obviously, seeing what other people are doing or what they have done on that place. It's just having that camera there from YouTube allows you to see like, oh, this is how the place sets up. Maybe it might be a little bit different from Google Earth or whatever it is, but a bunch of that stuff.
People don't realize how much their YouTube videos help, like prepare for a tournament, even if it's not spots. It doesn't have to be spots like locations, but just if you know what time of year they're there fishing and they catch fish, and you know what they're doing, you essentially know like what the fish are kind of doing that time of year. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting when you see competitors throwing up videos for these locations, and you can just hop on there and see what they were doing that time of year. And like, all right, well, there's a good pattern you could run if you wanted to. You don't take their spots. Like most spots, you can't really tell. Like there's not obvious like things in the background. But what I do a lot of the events that I fish, now there are a few in the state of Florida, but most of them throughout the country and in Florida are like nationally renowned like bodies of water. So the Elite Series, MLF, FLW over time have been there, and they upload all their videos and their events to YouTube. So you can watch live these, or not, they're not live anymore, but you can watch what was live at one point, the entire event. So what I typically do is, I know this sounds crazy, Bassmaster actually drops like pins on exactly where these Elite Series guys are fishing. And if you can find, so if you're going to a new body of water, you've never been there before, you know what time of year it's going to be there. You go through like historical national events, like Bassmaster was there at the same time of year in April. You watch their lives. It might be like 4 days of 8 hours, so like 32 hours, whatever. You just put a little study time in, no big deal, Darren.
No big deal, just a full week.
Just while you're working. So I have my computers set up here, my work computers. I have my Mac here, just throw on Bassmaster. They'll show the screenshots of where, or like the pins on a map where these folks are. Just skip over day one because it's random when they throw the people at day one. A lot of those guys think. Start on day two because day two are the top 10 from day one. So start on day two, and you can find the locations, not the exact location. Like you're probably not going to find their exact hole, but you can see the part of the lake that these fish or these people are focusing on for the fish. Sometimes they're all like clumped in one area. And if you compare like time of year, you're at the right time of year, you're at a similar temperature, like for the water, sometimes there's cold fronts, things that change. But that gives you like a really good starting point when you're going to these lakes where you can go out, focus your practice. This is what I do at least. Focus my practice in that area or portion of the lake to try to replicate what these folks are doing, or at least be around the fish and do my own thing. So that's kind of how I break down my pre-practice on like national events or bigger bodies of water that I haven't been to before.
For sure.
I got like 70,000 questions I'm writing down over here. Is Google Pro, does it cost anything?
No, not that I know of.
Got it. I think people get Google Maps and Google like Earth Pro mixed up. It's completely different.
Yeah, you got to like download it on
you got to download it, and
computer or whatever.
It like zooms in a lot closer. So what are you looking for? Let's back up. When you hop into Google Pro, I've used it before. When actually, Seth, were you on when I had Drew Gregory on and he was walking through his strategy for tournaments?
Yeah.
You co-host, yeah. He like walked through and he was like, "Oh, I do this, I do this, and I do that." You know, just looking at a lake on Google Earth Pro, that's great. Brandon, what are you looking for? Now, I know you mentioned that you go back in years. Are you just looking for, okay, here's my strengths in fishing, and I'm looking for how that sets up in that lake? Or are you just looking at everything? You're literally combing the banks, you're looking for 1 year it has lily pads, 1 year it doesn't. What's going through your brain when you look at a lake on Google Earth?
Honestly, a little bit of everything that you just said. I'll honestly pull up like I'll literally sit in my kayak with my laptop. I have Google Earth Pro right there, and I also have my actual graphs on too. And I'll literally start setting waypoints and start writing down, okay, you know, there's a rocky point, stuff like that. For me, I was kind of going to it like, just because conditions always change. We always hear about it, like, oh, during practice it's, you know, bluebird sky, sunny, and then a storm rolls in their tournament. So I'm always looking at like plan A, B, and C, like different ways that I can catch fish in tournament depending on, you know, conditions changing and all that. So it could be like, you know, well, maybe they're up shallow chewing and because it's warm, and then this cold front comes in and this fish want to move off. Okay, well, where are those places that this fish may move off to? Like I said, I've always been kind of like an offshore angler. I always like to find things that other people may not see, hence like utilizing my electronics and stuff like that. So if I'm looking at a reservoir that's drawn down, you know, oh, there's a roadbed that goes across the lake. Like we have a whole bunch of roadbeds in a lot of these bodies of waters up here in these reservoirs. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was there. Cool. You know, I'll mark that on my graph, or a hump, a rocky point. Maybe there's trees, you know, a stretch of fallen trees or something, you know, anything like that. And I honestly go try to check it all. Covering water during practice, if I got a couple of days of practice, I like to cover water and trying to fish a little bit of everything and see, okay, where am I going to get the most bites? Where am I also going to find quality bites? Stuff like that.
I think it's fascinating when I started kayak fishing and started doing tournaments, when I started interviewing people that do tournaments, realizing how many hours is going into the pre-planning. And you got a lot of these guys, you're like, oh, it's kind of like I work 9 to 5, I come home, I got a family, I don't have any time to do any of this. You got to realize you're going up against guys who are like, hey, I watch Bassmaster 40 hours a week, and I'm going on Google Earth Pro, and they're putting waypoints in, and my God, you're looking at YouTube videos from 1, 2, 3 years in the past, going out there pre-fishing for 3 or 4 days. I mean, it's if you're not doing these things, you're at a significant disadvantage. And if you keep doing tournaments, you're like, why do I keep coming in the bottom half? And then you're not doing any of the things we're talking about right now. This is why.
I will say that's true, but I will say I think there's different trails for different folks, right? Like if you want to do the national trail, like the Bassmaster one, Bassmaster Kayak Series, you're going to be going up against like Drew Gregory and those folks that put in the time, and they're going to beat you down if you're not prepared. But there's also like the local trails, like the Bass Nation or other ones in your state that I think you can get in. And those folks are more of like, I wouldn't say entry level, but more weekend anglers. So those guys aren't going to put in a ton of hours or anything like that to practice. Now they might be like local hammers and have a ton of history on those lakes, and they already know, so they don't have to. But it's really like what flavor you want to do. Do you want to really go for it and compete against some of the best people in the country, put the work in? Or if you just want to compete at the local level and have the camaraderie and potential to win some events there too. I think there's different options.
Yeah.
You think at the local level, no one does this? I think they do.
Yeah, there's people that do it.
I think
for sure, but
I mean, it's one of those things.
It's not at the highest. Like, it's not going to be like your national events, right?
No, I get it. There's a degree of it, but I'm saying I think there are people cutting their teeth on all the things that we're talking about right now at the local level. 100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
How much do you weight? So you guys were talking about, okay, you talked about, FFF waypoints, you talked about Google Pro, you talked about watching YouTube videos, and I'm sure you're taking it all and like it's all feeding each other. But do you weight more one over the other? Do you weight your gut more? Do you weight Google Earth more? Do you weight the videos you see on YouTube where you actually see people picking up bass? Or do you really just kind of an amalgamation of, okay, I learned all this. This is how I fish well, and now here's my strategy. Or you're like, oh, I saw someone on YouTube slamming them. I'm gonna weight that 20% more than I would have what I saw on Google Earth Pro because this or that, or is there certain people, if I see a certain person doing this on video, okay, I'm gonna weight that versus see some rando doing it. I don't know. I'm just curious what's going through you guys' minds when you're taking in all this information.
Going into it with open minds for me, like trying to fish off of just like history, for example, it could burn you. It could burn a lot of people. I know a lot of people who fish home bodies of water and they fish it multiple times a year and all that stuff. And they like, yep, I have a game plan, and end up not doing well because, things change, conditions change. The bodies of water change. Like I burnt myself off out at this last tournament at Clear Lake, fished history that I did the year before, thinking I was going to work the same, and it totally was a full 180. Last year, it's like you're dragging rock, you're catching them. But this year, it was like you got to go be punching or flipping grass. So, it's
same time of the year.
I'm still learning to this day, like from my own mistakes. But I think that's one of the biggest things is learning from your mistakes too. And just fishing with an open mind, like fish the conditions, make adjustments. Sometimes, like, oh, the wind's not supposed to pick up till 11 o'clock. Oh, well, it's 9:30 and the wind's picking up. Maybe I got to go through some reaction. It's like, I'm never kind of stuck on like a single thing or initial plan. I'm not afraid to also even scratch what I did during practice if it's not working out.
Yeah.
Like I've had terrible practices. I'm like, cool, I caught some fish, but it's not going to do well in the tournament. What did I not do? All right, that's what I'm going to do in the tournament because, it's like if it wasn't working, why try to stick with it?
Yeah.
What's that famous quote, Darren? Everybody has a plan till what?
So you get punched in the face.
Yeah, that's how it
Mike
goes
Tyson.
for me. That's how it usually goes for me too. Run into events, I have a plan, and then I get there, I'm like, whoop, not going to do that. But to answer your question, Darren, the weighted aspect of it, YouTube is the lowest for me.
Okay.
Like just weekend anglers, YouTube, I don't weight them very much. It's a tool you can see. I mean, there's just so many factors in YouTube. But the Bassmaster Elites, when you watch Bassmaster Live, I weight that at like the highest level. If it's at the same time of year, same body of water, like not like a cold front, warm front type deal, it's like consistent weather, then the fish should be doing similar things when you get there. So that's like a starting point for me going into these events.
That's probably the hardest type of research because you literally got to watch 30 hours of tape to get that information.
Make it useful. See, we unfortunately for us, like we don't have that type of video coverage that we can refer to. I think the last Bassmaster event, that was like clear lake. I don't remember. It was like 2008. So none of that really applies to today. They're all catching them on like 6, 8, and 10-inch swim baits out there.
Yeah, those fish are dead.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's cool to see how there's two perspectives, like you at the national level, Seth, and then but also me, like, maybe in some of these little more remote areas, across the country that don't have those type of resources. So
then you really got to dive into like what you're talking about, the mapping, time of year, water temp.
Most of the time, there's also just general YouTube videos of locals who are,
hammers,
talking about stuff.
Yep.
I don't think for me, like one thing outweighs another. I kind of add everything all together and just see what feels more relevant. I'm not too picky on it. I'll use every resource that I have just because it's better to be over prepared than under prepared.
Are there any other resources that we haven't talked about yet? Seth, you holding the juice back?
ChatGPT. I'm not kidding.
The robots.
I'm not kidding. You guys think I'm kidding?
All right.
You can
walk
do
us through. What are you doing on ChatGPT?
And man, this is a little sauce. You guys gotta. I don't know how much I can share here, but I don't know if the audience is in the ChatGPT world. I use it all the time.
Oh, it rules my life.
Oh my God.
My email response. If you ever received an email response from me in the last 2 years, a robot wrote it, guaranteed.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy what it can do for you, right? So anyway, ChatGPT puts reports together for me too.
So CH Outdoors says I use ChatGPT before every tournament.
CH knows what's up.
Colin B. Basson, I use it.
You gotta be smart with it, right? It's like back when we used to have GPS on our vehicle. Well, we have GPS now, but we used to have like TomToms, like the GPS units, and even now sometimes it does it. When you're like going down the highway, you have like 500 miles on the highway, but it tells you to make an exit and then just get right back on the ramp. Like there's some common sense involved here. You're just going to keep going straight. So with ChatGPT, you have to understand you have to have the right prompts, and it's not going to always give you the perfect information. You kind of have to mold that information into what you're looking for. But you can ask it things it'll search the internet for you, so you don't have to do the Google search. It'll search every event that was on a body of water, whether it was local, all that stuff. It'll search Facebook. It'll search all that. It'll give you results. It'll pull all the information that you want it to, that you ask it to, from the internet that's available to it, and put it there in front of you in whatever type of report, summary, statistics, whatever you want.
All right. It's kind of fascinating. I know Seth's not going to give you his prompts over here, but hey, if you haven't used your ChatGPT yet to do a little research for your upcoming tournament, I could definitely see a video coming out of this. That'd be a good video.
There you go, Darren.
ChatGPT.
Giving out the juice.
I know. This is good. Any other things? My goodness. I never even thought about that. I have friends who are like, oh, ChatGPT is a BS generator. I mean, it's literally just scraping the internet. But a lot of stuff's really good when you need. It's better than Google. I actually stopped using Google and started using ChatGPT as my search engine. 50x better. You got the classy kayaker over here. That's funny. I would never thought of it for fishing. Yep, me as well. All right, we got a smorgasbord of questions. If you're coming in mid-show and you haven't typed in discount tackle, go ahead and do that. We got 23 entries. We're giving out 3 $10 gift cards to a discount tackle. Thanks to Brandon.
Ooh.
So we will get to that a little bit later toward the end of the show, but I have a cornucopia of questions over here. All right, let's start. We're going to go up here at the top. Oh my gosh, we have I started like 17 in
this rapid fire here.
It is like a rapid fire. I got to go back up to the to the top. All right, Steven Sturgeon. On a multi-day tournament, do you leave fish to find fish on the first day?
Yes. Depending on what, I mean, if you have other spots that, you know, you could potentially go to and leave like your primary fish alone. Like I had a tournament at Dwarshak Reservoir at a primary spot, and I literally said in my video on YouTube, I was just like, we're going to catch what we can, but you know, if we hit a certain number or whatever, and depending if how many bites I'm getting, we may leave and go fish other spots and try to find some other quality fish. So definitely.
For me, this is one of those where there's a lot of variables that are involved in it. For example, this past weekend on Lake Okeechobee, my one good buddy, Blake Abbey, knocked like 92.5 inches on day one, and he left those fish to save some for day two. However, the person that ended up being first place after day one had like 100 and some inches. So had he known that,
he would have stayed
and he wasn't really following along the leaderboard too much, if I remember correctly. And this is one of those instances on like a multi-day tournament where you kind of want to follow along what's going on. So had he known that, he probably would have stayed at that spot longer and kept the distance a little bit closer for day two. Because when you're following up that with like an 8 to 9 inch deficit, that's pretty hard to overcome. So it all depends. It all depends on a multi-day tournament. But a lot of times you're going to want to save either a spot or some fish for day two.
Yeah. I mean, it depends really. I feel like, you know, if your practice goes pretty well, you can almost kind of guess what it will take each day. And I mean, obviously, you know, there's random things that happen. Someone can go sack up 100 inches and second place can be like 85 or something. But, you know, typically if you have a pretty decent practice, you can kind of guess what it's going to take. And I kind of use that as a little bit of advice to myself too.
Here's a question from me. Now that you said that, are you, Seth and Brandon, are you someone who watches the leaderboard, or someone's like, I'm just fishing and I'm not going to even watch it?
I watch it. I like the
pressure.
You
watch it.
Yeah.
I don't sandbag either. I upload all my fish when I can. Typically I wait to catch 5 and I'll upload, but unless I'm like running spot to spot, I'll upload my fish about service. Like I don't like the sandbag, and I like to watch the leaderboard. Honestly, It helps me make decisions. Like, you know, in that instance, like if I have whatever, you know, 85 inches and I look at the leaderboard, someone's at 95, I'm like, oh snap, I need to step up my game. I need to maybe do this differently. So it's like, you know, the pros and cons of it, but I enjoy the pressure. That's all fun to me.
Yeah. Seth, what about
you? I watch it. It determines the level of risk for me to take. So if I'm already at the top or near the top, and I'm just cruising along with my current pattern and everything's fine, and I'll probably run into a good one here pretty soon, I'll just stay at my current pace. If for some reason I'm falling behind, or like sometimes you think you're having a hard day out there, and you just say you have 82 inches or something, you think you're having a hard day, and then you look at the leaderboard and you're like winning and you have 82 and everyone else has 75. You're like, all right, well now I'm not going to leave what I'm doing because my pattern is proving to be better than everyone else's. So I'm going to continue what I'm doing, try to slowly rise. Or if you're falling behind, you're like, all right, well, we need to make a jump. We got to make an audible here. If we want to catch up, go look for some big ones, go in deeper water, hit some structure, something. And I know people say you're going to you run your pattern, you're going to catch your fish either way, but there's risk involved with every decision that you make on the water, because it's either time that you're wasting to get there, or the potential to catch bigger fish or less fish. So I think it helps me mitigate my risk or decide on the level of risk I want to take throughout the day. So I do follow, not like religiously, but I'll check in, see where I'm at multiple times.
A big man in a small boat over here. Big man in a small boat. Saving spot might not work out, especially with local people in the tournament. You have Utopia Outdoorsman. You risk people catching fish your spot. If you leave it, tough decision, 100%. What's your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, obviously it could happen, but do you ever get people like following you, or you ever get like some shady practices, not against the rules, but shady practices?
I've had it happen. I had an instance that happened this year, but I digress. I'm not going to talk about that. But
I'm not going to digress. You can't tease.
Had a guy pull up on me in a tournament like 10 feet to the left of me who didn't leave. and I got there first.
In the actual like same tournament, you guys fished in the same tournament. 10 feet in a kayak.
Yep.
Or you guys feel
A
like
little bit farther,
share a
but
lunch.
I could literally high five the guy, like at one point, because the wind was kind of blowing into us into a point. But he's he definitely learned his lesson after that, and I told the tournament director, I was like, just inform the guy of what he did wrong. You know, some people don't think about it. You know,
was he like chatty Cathy, or was he just like didn't say anything? He was just fishing next to you.
Didn't really say anything.
What in the world? Are you kidding me? It's like
we chatted it up afterwards, and everything was all good. Learning lesson. I literally told our tournament director, I'm like, don't disqualify him, don't DQ him, like don't give him a penalty, just inform him, because I ended up scrapping that main spot of mine and ran new water and ended up still in second place after day one of the tournament. So it's it doesn't bother me. I honestly, stuff like that is I don't know, it just adds more fuel to fire for me. You know, just battling that type of adversity. I always preach all the time. It's like, don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about what you can do. Because if you're focusing on other people, you're not focusing on what you need to do better as an angler on the water.
Yeah. I mean, was he seeing you catching him? That's why he was rolling up on you.
I don't know. I don't know all the details.
Maybe he was a fan. Maybe he's like, hey, you Brandon. Maybe this is Brandon. I want to get.
No, you didn't really chat. First cast, lines in, cast it over my line.
Oh gosh. Oh, you guys are going to your spot.
No, we were sitting on the spot. I got there first, and then lines in, and he makes a cast like right over my line. Right.
Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. That close? It's
so not good.
It's like awkward thinking about it. Who doesn't have like the social understanding that you're in a giant lake and being 10 feet from another kayaker I don't even know. All right, got more questions for you. Seth, what's the weirdest experience you had at a kayak fishing tournament?
I mean, the local, like the people in Florida really give me my space. They kind of stay away, and the national people don't know who I am, so it works out well. No one really bothers me.
That was the only time it's ever happened to me.
Yeah, I haven't really had any issues. I think boaters are more of a pain than the kayakers. The boaters will just roll up there with their confidence that they're gonna do their thing, and then you just jack them right in front of them and make yourself feel good, and then you just throw it back in the water.
Love it. Love it. All right, other questions here. You got Bass Hole North, New Hampshire, completely unrelated. Any update on KFast? If you guys are unfamiliar with KFast, Kayak Fishing Advanced Safety Training, give you a quick update. We just got the review from our panel, and Chad and I are meeting. We met yesterday to review it, and so we'll start shooting the courses next week. And hopefully in a couple weeks after that, it'll be live. So that is the update on KFast. All right, back to Brandon. And also, if you haven't hit that like button, if you're over on YouTube, watching it from YouTube, if you're not on YouTube and you're like, hey, where are all these questions coming from? Well, they all come into kind of YouTube. So head over to YouTube if you're on Instagram or on Facebook and you're wondering where we're pulling these questions from. That's where we're pulling them from. All right, Michael Bradley's got a question for you. What's the predominant species in Oregon? Is it smallies or largemouth?
I want to say smallmouth, just because of the river systems we have, like the Columbia River, Willamette River, Umpqua. There's a lot of smallmouth. We have a lot of, largemouth places too, as far as lakes, reservoirs and stuff. And even like some of these river systems have largemouth as well, but definitely feel like smallmouth. Over here, our Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife really like to target our bass because of the salmon and stuff out here. So, but smallmouth is always kind of like the big thing because there's so many of them in our river systems.
Okay. I mean, I was fishing for smallies here in Ohio just earlier this week. I just edited a video. Probably caught 30. None of them were sizable. I think the biggest was 16.5. But man, they're so much fun. We don't have a ton of them here in Ohio, and they don't get like massive like they do in Pennsylvania on the Susky. But man. All right, Utopia Outdoorsman's got a question for you. Would you fish the well-known spots that everyone hits or look for some secondary areas on tournament morning? It was interesting because I remember when we had Drew on, he was like, I actually don't look for the A spots. Like, I create a plan around the B spots because I know everyone's going to hit the A spots. And so I'm curious, is your mind working like that when you're looking at Google Earth Pro? You're like, okay, this is going to be my run, and I'm going to skip over this because I know it gets hit like a mother. Or no, you try to hit it first, and then you go to your B spots and then your C spots. What's going through your guys' brains on tournament planning and tournament day?
I'll actually hit those community spots like first day of practice. I think it's a good way to kind of get a little idea of what the lake is doing, or river or whatever it is. Like seeing what those fish want to eat and stuff, especially if you've never been there before, but you've heard this whatever area is a community area. Trying different baits, seeing what gets bit, and then go try to replicate at least something similar elsewhere in the lake. At least you have an idea. It's a good way to start, in my opinion.
Yeah. Seth, how about you?
Yeah, so community holes, there's a reason they're community holes, right? Like there's something about those that hold fish, or the fish just like to be there, whether they're transitioning or whatever. And Okeechobee was one of those situations this past weekend. I was kind of fishing a funnel. It's like 300, 400 yards wide, where fish move from deeper water to shallow, but they were just hugging one side of that 300-yard stretch as they go shallow. Like you can go the whole way through there. It's the same depth, but they only held the one side, which is interesting. I don't know why, but so I will fish. I mean, I will practice in those locations and plan to fish those. But if you expect there to be pressure, you definitely have to have alternative options. You can't base your entire event on a hole that you might have other anglers, you might have boats, you might have kayaks. So you definitely, like Brandon said, you need to have alternative options, plan B, C, D. But I think it's valuable to go there. And if you have scope, you can see what's there. So you can see if the fish are reacting to your bait, or if they've all been caught, or they're just, skittish, whatever. So you'll know pretty quick with scope, but I think it's worth your time to check those areas and see if you can snag a couple two out of there. If not, just move to your alternative options, plan B and D and so forth.
Yeah. Another question or comment coming in from the community, Lily the Hammer. I don't have electronics. I've been studying Google Earth and Navionics. Hey, why not? If you I don't have it yet. Can't afford it yet. We'll get there eventually.
Navionics, I use Navionics all the time from the computer.
I have Navionics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have it on my phone because I run multiple apps. That was the question earlier as well. Do you guys utilize any information coming from apps? I know Omnia has CMAP, right? I was using it today. You got deep dive apps, you got Navionics apps, you got all kinds of things out there. Is there any type of apps that you lean into, Seth or Brandon?
Weather apps.
Say what?
I said just weather apps. Honestly, I don't dig into a bunch of like the fishing apps and stuff, honestly. I feel like that's access to a lot of people, and it's kind of like plain as day what that info is going to give you. So I kind of like to do my own study. What about you, Seth?
Yeah, for me, it's I've recently started using Deep Dive for wind effects and water clarity if they have it available for those lakes. Yep. So I'm looking at my phone right now, so I'm not looking at the screen. Especially those big lakes, kind of get a feel for where the wind's really going to be pushing in, what's going to be wind blown, what's going to be protected, especially when like the wind starts getting at like 10, 15 miles an hour, where it starts getting like uncomfortable out there. It's harder to fish on those bigger lakes. So that's an app that I've recently started using for Lake Okeechobee, because it's just a massive lake, right? If you're on the side that's going to be blown in, you might have some issues. So Deep Dive is one. And then like Brandon said, all the weather apps, kind of see what the weather's doing.
Yeah, Deep Dive's interesting because I've had them on the show before, and they've walked us through the technology of their app, right? They're using these satellite images to determine water clarity. You can actually see wind effects over the previous 5 days or 3 days, right? And so if you're like, I got a wind blown shore for the last 3 days, well, that set up that conveyor belt of bait fish followed by, plankton, bait fish, predatory fish. That's enough time, that 24 hours, 48 hours for that conveyor belt to set up. You're like, oh, this might be a good idea. So that wouldn't be information necessarily you're going to amalgamate through looking at weather apps, but Deep Dives gives you that. It also gives you 7 days into the future. So like, oh, here I am. There's a tournament 3 days away, and I'm seeing this is going to be a wind blown area, and it's going to be wind blown for more than 24 hours. Could be juicy. And then, Omnia has like Navionics or CMAPs, which is always nice if you're going to a new body of water. So awesome. Love it. Utopia Outdoors. How big of an advantage is FFS in a tournament, considering taking the jump? Would you even fish a tournament with how competitive it is without FFS?
Go ahead, Brandon.
It's still a tool at the end of the day.
So what?
It's a tool. It's a tool at the end of the day. Like, it's not gonna automatically mean you're gonna catch fish and put them in the kayak. I don't know.
Does help you eliminate a ton of water.
It saves a lot of time. I preach all the time as a kayak angler, time's your biggest enemy. It can be a way to cover water quickly and understand. Like, it's not even just about like, oh, I see a couple fish on this brush pile. It's more so, oh, there's a brush pile there, instead of like back in my day, like I literally would go up and down and do laps up and down the lake and side scan, 100, 120 feet left and right. Like, it helps eliminate that time that you need to do other things.
How about you, Seth? Would you ever fish a tournament with how competitive it is without?
Yeah, it all depends on how. I mean, if the lake's set up like a clear, like a reservoir, a smallmouth reservoir, and it's a smallmouth fishery, and you don't have forward-facing sonar, you're probably not going to be competitive if other folks do. But if it's set up on like a largemouth fishery that they're going to be, 5 feet under, 6, 7 feet and under, then you got a good chance of doing well. It all depends on how like the events are set up, time of year, bodies of water. If you have FFS, it's going to benefit you more, like Brandon said, than not having it, for sure. You're going to be able to see structure. You're going to be able to see fish. If you get good at it, you'll be able to cast at individual fish and catch them. But I will say, I don't know what the percentages are, but the majority of people like us that have forward-facing sonar are not skilled users of it. They have it, but they haven't spent the time or haven't got the proper knowledge and practice in to use it to the full capability that scope can be. Like the elite guys, the majority of the people like doing kayaks and things like that. Now there are some. You got the Ewing miners, you got a bunch of people that are really good, but there's a lot of folks that don't fully use its capability, and I think they get frustrated with FFS because they see how easily the Elite Series guys catch them on it, and then they try to duplicate it, and they don't have the practice yet to be able to do that. So it's definitely a tool that will help you find fish, find structure, learn about fish habits and where they move and how they react to different types of baits. I've learned more with FFS than like all my years combined prior to having it. And like Brandon said, it's a tool, and it can be very useful if you learn how to use it properly.
It's just time on water.
Would you enter into a tournament where everyone else could use it and you couldn't? Yes or no?
Unless it's a shallow body of water. Unless it's a swimming tournament.
No, Brandon. Yes or no?
No. Would I drive across the country to go fish a tournament on St. Clair against the national?
No, I'm not donating my money.
All right. That's just
it just depends also on the level that you fish to at the local level. I mean,
yeah. Yep.
Even at my local level, like there's a lot of people who have it, but it doesn't mean that they're going to cash a check every single tournament. Like sometimes it plays, sometimes it doesn't.
That's right. Yep.
All right. Classic Kayaker had a good question here. How does a drought affect the bite, in your opinion? Our lakes are so low. I believe they're in Indiana. I was just in freaking Ohio, 45 minutes from my house, and I literally were seeing boats like starting to back their boats down, and then they pulled out and left because it's so low that they would like rip the tires off of their trailer getting out. It's pretty bad. Kayaks, no issues, but what goes through your mind? How does a drought affect a bite and how fish are setting up? What happens when you go to a lake and you did all your research? You're like, oh crap, this is really low.
It just pulls those fish closer together, in my opinion. Like my local reservoir, like they drop it like 50 feet. Like right now, it's super low right now. Like a lot of creek arms don't have water in it. It's a big recreational place. But once it gets this low, a lot less people go to it because, for your example, like the boat ramps might not be launchable. Now mine is, but what I see is that all those fish bunch up together. And that's honestly fun for me because I like to fish offshore, and if they're schooled up together or even up shallow, it's just easier to find them.
It makes, you can get giant bags when lakes are low. Okeechobee is lower than it's been in the last like 10, 15 years on purpose because they're trying to get grass to grow. But it's starting to come back up. But prior to it coming back up, man, those fish on Okeechobee were in these drains or just lower, deeper parts of the lake, and there were some giant bags coming out. So yeah, it condenses those fish to like Brandon was saying, to certain areas and certain spots, and they're not just going to be distributed through vegetation and grass in different areas now. So you can get some giant bags when the lakes are low if you can get your boat in the water.
I love when the rivers are low. Oh, great. I know all the holes and they're all going to be stacked in there because there's really no other place for them to go.
That's right.
I like it. I like it. All right. We have some other questions in here. And if you haven't done so yet, and you've come in like mid-show, if you haven't typed in discount tackle,
one word
in the comment section. Yep. One word. We have 26 entries. Go ahead and type that in right now. And we're going to be giving away 3 $10 gift cards toward the end of the show, which we'll probably start playing in about 10 minutes. But you got to be present to win. All right, let's head back over here. What are some of Brandon's? This is a question coming in from Michael Jarvis. What is Brandon's favorite bait to throw? So we're looking at confidence lure. What do you got for us, Brandon?
Confidence lures, man. Dude, I honestly enjoy finesse fishing sometimes.
Yeah.
Like throwing a drop shot. Couple things right here, like a drop kicker is just a little minnow style. That's been pretty good to me. But this also like a shaky head or a drop shot with this. Like a purple worm here on the West Coast is a pretty big thing. Everybody thinks of like Margarita Mutilator MM3. This is my version with Z-Man, the Purple Rain. I've caught like 3 fish over 7 on that.
Oh wow.
7-pound spots and a 7-pound largemouth, which was my old personal best. It's I don't know. Fishing finesse is just, especially on these bodies of water that get a lot of pressure. Like I don't mind picking up a spinning rod. It doesn't bother me at all. I just honestly choose whatever I feel like is going to get bit. I don't care if it's a Ned rig or I got to throw like a 6-inch swim bait. Like this is a mag draft. Like it's this bait's been good for me to get better quality bites out here. Now Z-Man has like their new version of this, which is a swag. I haven't had my chance to get my hands on it, but a little mag draft, like 6-inch bait. Like I've caught fish that are like 8 to 10 inches long on this thing. It's
crazy.
You can also get a bunch of quality bites as well, and it's just fishing that thing real slow. I mean, those are some of my favorites. You can't go wrong covering water with a chatterbait, a jackhammer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to buy every single color that, Z-Man makes. Just choose your typical colors, a shad color or a white, green pumpkin, black and blue. And it's pretty much like, all you need. I don't get too crazy with the colors at all.
Yeah.
Still learning, the minnow style stuff. So this is the graph shads from Z-Man. That's been a huge learning curve for me, but I have found that it has worked pretty well. It's just something different, that these fish have not seen, especially suspended fish. Now I can kind of figure out how to target those with that. So that's been a huge learning curve. It's like smallmouth. And Darren, I know you've been throwing this a little bit.
Yeah.
Smallies. Like I used to usually throw like, a little ball head with a little swim bait, a little 4-inch swim bait or something for smallmouth up here. But when that bite starts to kind of die off, throwing something just a little bit smaller, maybe a different presentation like this on the bottom, changing things up.
That Gobius, they're freaking money. The green pumpkin has a little purple in it. My gosh. They were getting bit so much that they bit up the Elastec, which could take a lot. Yeah. And it was ripping it up. And they were just chewing that thing. I think I got 30 smallmouth in a 6.5 mile float. Now, they weren't donkeys, but they just couldn't keep their mouth off the stupid.
How many redfish?
None.
No, you didn't catch the
redfish in Ohio. No, none. Oh, they were in there. I didn't get any pike either. It was a weird bite day. Might be going up and fishing a different river kind of north of me. Kind of getting into river fishing, liking this. Still waiting for my RVR to show up. So it's hopefully going to be at the end of this month. And then I'm going to put my new Torqeedo ultralight on it. and we're gonna make that. But yeah, I've been freaking drum magnet up in Lake Erie. Also want to get up to Lake Erie again because that was a ton of fun. So we'll see what happens. Back to Brandon. Here's a question for you: are you more of a cover water fast kind of a guy or are you kind of like a slow down and dissect spots?
I'm actually a slower fisherman. I like to find
Okay.
a couple of spots and really pick them apart, knowing that like there's probably quality there. That's always been my fishing style. Even when I had a bass boat, dude, like I was never like throwing motor up on high and burning down the bank. Like I'll cover water if I'm trying to figure out a body of water, but typically I'm like, all right, I got these waypoints like that I figured out from practice. I'm gonna go fish, this spot, pick it apart real good, and move on to the next, or even maybe just sit on that spot. Like for me, it's like you just need 5 of the right bites. Like I don't care if it takes the full 8 hours of a day to get those 5 bites, as long as they're the right ones. Like I'll sit on the spot and do it.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for both Seth and Brandon. Can you share a time where you made a risky move and it either paid off or I guess it didn't?
Yeah. I can go first on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
So the one event that I had a massive fail on in this last season, I got a 90th out of like 220.
Oh,
And I was a fish short, only had 9 out of 10 because I got
that hurts the average.
Yeah, it hurts because every other event's top 3, but except for that one. So that event, it was on the Kissimmee chain for Bassmaster Kayak Series, the national one. In practice, I'll try to make this as brief as possible. In practice, we had a really unseasonably cold multiple weeks in practice. However, the day before the event, it got back to normal temperatures, and it's right in the spring, so you expect the fish to move up, spawn, all that stuff. Well, I found an offshore pattern, which was the pre-spawners for the cold front, and I had a few that were spawners that were coming in. So my risk was either hit these spawners that I had coming that were already on beds, not coming in, I'm sorry, already on beds. And those were like 2 8s and a 7-pounder, all in this little cove. Or do I go to an area where I think there's going to be a large population of fish in a different part of the lake that are going to be moving up? I don't have the beds there, but I can kind of catch them coming in. But when I looked at these like 2 8s and a 7, I'm like, these are too big of fish because they're locked on beds. I'm like, I have to go to these fish because if I catch these 3 fish, that's what, like 24, 23 inches for 3. And then you just throw in a couple 12s and you're like top 5 for the day. Right. So I'm like, all right. And I didn't really see any other kayak fishermen. So I'm like, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to go to this on day 1. And so long story short, I go there on day 1. I hook into the first 8-pounder on my second cast and it gets off and never set back up on the bed. While I was re-rigging and moving to the second 8-pounder, the 7-pounder was caught by someone else. And then I went and caught the other 8-pounder. So I had 1 8 out of those 3, which was like 24 inches. But then I didn't have all the other fish around me for that day. So I kind of like I just like barely, I had like 85 inches for the day with like a 24-incher, and it really hurt. In hindsight, I should have went to a location where all the fish were moving in and kind of built a bag throughout the day instead of taking a risk on 3 fish. So that was a lesson learned where it could have went one way, could have went another. And then the other one was Lake Okeechobee this weekend. I had a main lake spot and I have storms rolling in with high winds. Was I going to be able to stay there all weekend and fish my fish, or the wind's going to blow me out? And the winds blew me out this weekend, and I just got lucky enough to junk fish into 3rd place. So there's calculated risks that are involved, and it's not always an easy decision because some spots might win it, other spots might not be as good, but there's less risk. So what about you, Brandon?
I think one of the things that a risk that worked out for me was my championship last year at Door Shack. I had a spot that I think it was like literally the day before practice, the day before the tournament, it was just practice. I think I caught like 18 and a half and a 19 smallmouth on this hump. And I was like, well, I mean, this was a tournament where like it was hard to even catch a limit of 12 inchers. Just that summer, the fall transition on Door Shack was just terrible. And this was in October. So I was like, well, at least there's quality there. And I think I got like another 12 incher not far from that hump. And I was like, well, this is what I'm going to go with. Day 1 of the tournament, went there, caught some small ones, but honestly, all the big ones were gone. Like I think I had like 3 or 4 fish off this spot, fished there for half the day. And in my mind, I've just, as I'm fishing, I'm like looking around at the scenery and stuff. I was looking at my maps. I'm like, all right, I was like, apparently this is not working out. And you go find a plan B or just scrap this. And there's this one long main lake point. I just kept looking at it all day, and I was like, trust your gut. So I ran out there. By that time, I was like 6 miles away from the boat launch, and I pulled up there, and not that long, I caught like my fourth keeper, which was like a 15-incher, and then I caught like a 19. And I was like, okay. And by that time, I had to run back. So I scrapped everything I did, and I went to a completely new launch, which was closer to that one. And first off in the morning, caught, I think it was like a 18 and a half, like a 17 and a half, and a 19. And already I was like,
all right,
killing it compared to like the rest, the day before. I think I only had like 78 inches the first day. Second day, I ended up flipping it around. I think I was in like third place, but I was like 8 inches behind like second and third, or first and second place or something like that. And I ended up with 86 and a half, making that just judgment call, that risk, going to a new launch. And at this point, I only caught 2 fish off during day one. Ended up winning the championship. So
nice. Well, congrats.
It's kind of one of those things where we can do all this work, practicing and prepping for this tournament, but things change, and sometimes you just got to scrap it if it's not working out.
Yeah. Well, we're getting ready to give away these 3 $10 gift cards, but Seth and Taylor, what advice would you give someone to fishing their very first kayak tournament?
Go ahead, Brandon.
Something that my tournament director, Marvin Forte, says all the time: read the rules. A lot of rules when it comes to kayak tournaments, and you need to be able to understand them, from being able to measure the fish, the times when you got to launch, lines in, and it's just all that, because the last thing you want is to be disqualified from a tournament because of something super simple that's in the rules. That's one thing that, fortunately, I did not make a mistake, but I've seen a lot of people make mistakes, and there's definitely a lot of rules when it comes to kayak fishing that you got to pay attention to.
Yeah, I would, yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely read the rules. As far as like the fishing aspect of it, depending on your level, I would say, instead of like having a goal of winning or anything like that, I would go in with the goal of like getting a limit. Because if you get a limit, you are going to be in like I don't know, every lake's kind of different and depending on time of year, but probably be in like the top 50% of the anglers for that event. And if you get a limit, you never know what you're going to catch. And you might have some good kickers in there, but I think going in with a limit the first time as your goal and then every time you go in these other events, you try to raise that goal a little bit, try to hit certain numbers or certain inches. And then eventually you're going to get your confidence where you're like, all right, it's time to start placing, making some money in these events, and then go from there. But I would set your expectations in the beginning just to get a limit and see where you end up in the event. And from there, just increase your expectations and, try to grow as an angler, learn from the other anglers at the award ceremony. A lot of times they do breakdowns of what they used, what they caught them on, where they were fishing, what they were doing. And you were out there in those same elements. So you get to see, all right, here's the pattern that I missed. You can implement that next time. So yeah, I would just say shoot for a limit for the first couple events and then go from there.
Yeah. All right. Here's a question. I mean, we are kayak fishing obsessed. I got a question coming in from Johnny. Yes. What's Brandon's setup? Kayaks, motors. What do you got? I mean, you have like an immaculate, for those of you listening in who
don't look at my background.
Is there a way to make my screen wide by chance so they can see?
Let me see here. There we go. That's as wide as we're going to get.
So Bonafide PWR 129. I've been a pro angler guy for like the last 3 years and swapped over to this, and honestly, it's been a pretty badass rig. I've been enjoying it a whole bunch. Stability. It's kind of weird not having a drive. I've always been like, I've always wanted a secondary option, just in case. But I think, choosing your motor setup and, correctly plays a role in it. I run a Torpedo Travel Ultralight. It's a new one. It's been reliable. I have no issues with the previous model, 1103. So I put my trust and my, investment into, tournament kayak fishing into that motor, and it hasn't let me down. So, there might be cheaper options out there, but you got to look at, how reliable they are. So that's what I run.
Or how loud they are. My gosh, I have an NK 180, and I've literally I don't know if I told you this. Did I tell you the story last week? I don't know if I did. He literally, I turned on my motor, and this guy I never fished with, I just started fishing with, Jake Cook, Jake the fishing guy. You can find him on YouTube. He starts looking around. What is? He's like, he looked at me like, do you hear that? Yeah. He literally thought the dam was releasing water in the distance. because that's what my motor sounds like when you turn that thing on. And so, and you better believe if we can hear it above water, those fish, and especially the one that's been conditioned and are a little bit older, like, hey, I know what that means. It matters more than you think it matters. So I'm looking forward to getting to that Torpedo. Those things can just whisper quiet, considering what I have running right now. All right. Yep. Valentine boy fishing. They're loud. Yeah. 1000%. They sure are.
Darren,
So PWR.
There's something I want to run through real quick, just for just some tips for folks on practice. And I'll make it pretty brief, but I just want to make sure I get it in, because I think these things are important for people that want to tournament fish, that have some experience, but not like the perfect like new beginners, but people that like want to up their game. So there's a couple things. One is using the shading function on your graphs, like your Navionics, whatever, using the shading function. So when you go and practice and you find fish, so there's different levels of fish that you're going to find. You can find numbers, you can find quality. In the beginning, numbers are awesome. Finding those numbers is really important because it gives you your limit, like I was just talking about. And then sometimes within those numbers, you're going to find some quality fish. But as you get advanced, I think, how are the steps, Darren? Chad Hoover goes over them. What are like the steps of an angler as they
one fish?
Yeah,
a lot of fish. Then then I want to catch big fish. Then I want to catch a lot of big fish, and then you want to catch technique
fish. Yeah. So in tournament fishing, we're just starting with catching a lot of fish. Let's just catch a lot of fish first. And then once you're catching these smaller fish, then let's focus on finding bigger fish. And then as far as spots go, you're going to have your A spot. And the events that I do the best, I don't settle on having like my A spot. My B spot is like my AA spot. Like I have 2 high quality locations to go fish. So even if I'm struggling on my first spot where I feel like I'm going to do really well, but they're just not there for whatever reason that day, I can go to my other A spot and absolutely destroy them there. So I have like 2 really quality areas. It doesn't always happen that way. It's really difficult to find like 2 A spots. Usually it's like you get a C+ spot and like that's it. But if you're able to get like a really solid spot, don't settle for it. On Dale Hollow, I had an awesome, and this is the one I got second. I was so close to getting first. If I had more time, I would have tracked you in mine down.
Right?
Yeah. So like I had a really quality A spot, but I didn't settle in practice. I'm like, I'm going to spend my entire day to find more fish. And I found a really quality second A spot. So on day 1 of the event, I smashed them. On day 2 of the event, I went to my other A spot, smashed them. So, and this happens often. So you like find 2 high quality spots or 3 or as many as you can. Don't settle if you just find one area and think you're going to win it on one area. There's a lot of variables involved there. So I hit use the shading function. So if you find your A spot and their range is like, I don't know, 6 to 10 feet for whatever reason, I don't know, on points, highlight that 6 to 10 feet on your graph, make it green or whatever you want to make it, and like turn off other layers. So you only see the 6 to 10 feet green on your Navionics and just look at the lake. And I did this on Dale Hollow for where they were bedding in like 6 to 10 feet of water. Look at the lake. Look at the pockets where I was. So I needed 6 to 10 feet in the back end of pockets was green. I looked at them like, all right, this pocket has it. This pocket doesn't. This pocket doesn't. This one has it. This one has it. This one has it. So once I figured out the pattern, I just duplicated that pattern using the shading function in practice, found all these beds, went from there. So use the shading function on your graph. Get multiple spot A's if you can. Don't settle on just one because you never know if it's going to get blown out. And 3, as you're focusing on practice and you're catching numbers, try to up your game and find bigger fish, whether that's start moving out in the deeper water or something different. Because if you're catching all like 12 to 15 inches over and over and over again in practice and you're not getting any kickers, you're probably not on the winning pattern. So it's going to be hard. I know it feels good. It feels good to catch fish and you're catching fish, but 12 to 15 inches aren't going to win you the event. So move off those, try to find bigger fish, whether it's in deeper water or wherever else. So those are just some couple of things I wanted to bring up real quick. Back over to you, Darren and Brandon.
No, I think it's good. You got a couple comments in here. Hey, great info, Seth. Great advice. And then Jake, the fishing guy. Always assume your A spot is someone else's. Hence to the point, you need 2, 3, 4 if you can find them. But the shading, that's the money.
Yeah.
I think that is freaking money.
That's
However,
efficient.
if you don't have the graph, right, you're not going to have that significant advantage either. All right, folks, we're going to get ready to land this plane. And so if you haven't done so yet, let's go ahead and bring this up. Let me remove this screen. There we go. And go ahead and type in, we'll give it like 30 seconds. Type in discount tackle into the comment section. And you can be, if you're coming in toward the end of the show, we got 56 live. If you're on YouTube, please hit that like button. I'll give you like 20 seconds. Type in discount tackle. See if we have a couple more entries. And we're going to give away 3 of them.
And you said if you don't have the graph, you can't do the shading function. You can do that shading function on the Navionics web app, which I think is like Garmin web app now. So you can do it on your computer too. Yeah.
Discount tackle, Jake's got to be one word.
One word.
Say that one more time, Seth. You can do it on for free.
If you don't have a graph, you can do it on what used to be called the Navionics web app, but I think now it's called the Garmin web app. So it has your layers on there, everything. You can create shading for a range on there as well.
You can just throw it to your phone.
You can do it on your phone. It's easier to do on a computer because the screen's so tiny on your phone, but yeah, you can do it on there. So if you don't
Literally, one of my buddies does that. He has the app on his phone instead of having like a full-on graph, and he uses that.
There you go. There you go. All right, folks, we got 30. Oh, there we go. 38 entries.
38.
So let's do a few draws. Let's do who is the winner tonight. We'll do 3 of them.
Roberts.
And here we go. Seth, if you win.
No.
I
I didn't enter. What the heck?
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Look at that. Let's go. Run it again. I won.
Rigged in the comments.
Run it one more time.
Oh, we're going to run it 3 times. You're not getting it.
No way.
I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that you're in it. We're going to draw again.
What are the odds there?
Oh my gosh. Well, the odds were 1 in 38. So there we go. I can tell you.
Those are the odds.
Yep.
Be you again.
Scarby. There we go. All right, Scarby. How do you want people to reach out to you, Brandon? In order to
just DM me on Instagram, BrandonHua.fishing. It's a digital code that I can just send to you, and you can have it instead of like sending you the physical card. So
perfect. Draw number 2. Here we go. I saw squirrel fishing. I said raging fishaholic in there. Big man in a little boat. John Reynolds. Congrats, boss.
Congratulations.
Head over to Brandon Hua, not Hua.
However you want to say it.
There you go. And the final draw of the night. Who is going to win? Saw Crappy Outdoors, Valentine Boys, Steven Sturgeon, Cam. All right. Cam is the 3rd winner. Thank you so much, Brandon, for bringing some giveaways.
Of course.
To the show. Always a lot of fun. And where could people find you? Is it Brandon Hua on all the platforms? Does it change a little bit?
No, it's basically replicated on all platforms: Instagram, YouTube, dabble in a little bit of TikTok, but Facebook as well. BrandonHua.fishing. You can my DMs are always open, so feel free to shoot me a message if you guys got questions or anything. Always willing to help. That's kind of the thing that I've always strived for, is just to help everybody. We're all learning together. I'm still learning to this day. I'm sure, Seth, you can agree the same thing. You as well, Darren. So it's always fun to help other people strive towards the same goals as us.
Yeah, well, you guys are freaking. The amount of juice you guys brought tonight around tournament fishing. If those are listening in, just there's probably 10 things that I could take away if I ever get really hardcore into it. But grateful for you, Seth. Grateful for you, Brandon. Thank you guys so much for your time and just spilling the beans on what has helped you become successful over the years. You guys are freaking awesome. All right, guys. So next Tuesday night, we have Jeff Little. We're going to be talking about smallmouth fishing. He is a hammer. So look forward to having him on a show next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And also special shout out to the show sponsor, Dark Horse Tackle. If you love getting boxes, you want that kind of special box. It's not the same, Strike King or, the everyday lures you see at Walmart. If you like those small bait makers and like throwing those type of baits, you can check out their website, darkhorsetackle.com. Also, they have an a la carte, which is nice. If you're like, hey, there's just one lure that I really love, it's hard to find, they like to keep those in stock. Head over there and show them some love. All right, folks. Brandon, thank you so much. Everyone listening in, you guys freaking rock. Seth, you're awesome as well. Appreciate all of y'all. See you next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
See you, everyone.
Bye.